What about divorces? What can women ask for? What are the laws in the UAE?
So in UAE, UAE talks about the procedure. This is a procedural law. Yeah, that yes, the two people can apply for divorce. What is the procedure? Step one, you go to a counselor, you get a call. They need to ensure that the decision has been taken. There is no scope of going back. But in terms of application of the law, irrespective of which religion they are from, they can use their home country law in terms of application. When it comes to mutual, now this I'm talking about contested, where two people are not agreeing as to what is it that they can ask for. When it's mutual, you can agree to whatever the two parties are agreeing to. The judge is not going to make a decision that why you giving her 10,000 a month. It's not needed. Only 5,000 is enough. No. Mutual means mutual. Two parties have agreed. So you put it up in a document. It's called the marriage divorce settlement agreement. You make the agreement and you submit it to the court. And the court actually puts it in the form of the judgment. So the agreement is verbatim put in Arabic in the judgment, and then that's executed. If there is a payout to the children in terms of their university expenses, school expenses, medical expenses, house rent, because if you have the custody of the children, being the mother, if they're younger children, then you are supposed to be taking care of the children. For that, the husband has to maintain the standard of living that he is giving you even now. So he will provide a house, the nanny, the driver, the car, the expenses paid for the children, whatever it is, as it is today. Apart from that, grocery, maintenance, whatever.
What about if you don't have kids? Can you still ask for the same thing? Suppose you've not had a career, you've taken you've been a housewife.
50-50, whatever it is. This is what I
whatever his
ask
monthly
for.
salary is,
Yes.
you can actually ask for 50% of that.
So it depends on the length of the marriage.
Okay.
What is the kind of financials that both of them have contributed to the wedding, to the relationship. It could be that a woman has not worked. So, for example, yes, that will count. How much is the husband working? There will also be a dependence on what is the reason for the divorce. Who has attributed towards the divorce? Is it the husband's fault or the woman's fault?
Yeah.
So these are the different aspects that the judge will look at before deciding on an amount.
Okay.
And of course also the duration of in which the amount will be paid, not just the value, because
Right.
it's not like one amount
Maybe
on the
for 10
table.
years, 20 years, 50
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
whatever. Okay. So can he ask? Because I also know a lot of women where the woman is out earning the man. So can he ask for the same thing? Suppose he's not worked for the last 5 years or the last 2 years or whatever. Can he take a
So
portion of
UAE law does not really address that particular concern. It specifically talks about only women asking for the alimony.
Okay. So when a marriage is registered in India, let's say you got married in India and then you come here to the UAE and at this point your marriage is breaking up. How does that work? I mean, this is a pretty basic question, but do you get divorced in the UAE as per UAE law or you get divorced in India as per India law?
That's how I've been practicing for the last 9 years.
Okay.
It is the clients who get married in their home country and they were divorced here.
So it's as per the Hindu Marriage Act.
So you can choose which law to apply. So
Okay.
it could be the Special Marriage Act or the Indian Foreign Marriage Act, as well as the UAE procedural law. So when it is mutual, it is like anything under the sun that you have agreed for. It will be put on the table, both the parties sign and the judge confirms. That's how the mutual mutual divorce works.
Okay.
When it is contested, that's when the Hindu law is being applied. Or, for example, a disagreement on, no, I want to apply this law, and you will say, no, I don't agree to application of the UAE law. I would like the Hindu law to be applied. So you submit the Hindu law, attested, legalized, translated to the judge, and then the arguments that you make or the defense that you make will have to be under the provisions of the Hindu law.
Suppose you've got two people from two separate countries who are getting divorced, and so then it's not based on the country of their birth, it's based on the country where they got
Again, there would
married.
be religion involved in case if they are Christians, so then you have the Christian law which applies.
Okay.
Again, I'm talking
Right.
about, when you say two different countries, it also depends on two different faiths, Muslim, non-Muslim, all of that will come into the picture.
Interesting. I want to ask an important question. So I think there might be a lot of women right now who have been thinking about divorce, okay? What's the homework they need to do before they even bring up the subject? Let's presume that they have good enough reason and they've decided that the marriage is not working for whatever reason. They want to go ahead. What homework? What are the 5 things you would ask a woman to do before she even broaches the subject with the man?
With the man, documents, get hold of the assets, What is it that he...
So when you say documents, number one, get your marriage
certificate.
Okay, number
copy
two.
of the marriage certificate, attested, legalized. That can be done later. For that, you need the original. Otherwise, the copy of the attested marriage certificate. Because here we are talking about a dependent wife, which will be already on a dependent visa from the husband.
Correct.
So all of that from paperwork has been done before already.
Okay.
So copy of the attested marriage certificate needs to be attested from the Ministry of Justice as well when you're applying for divorce. Awareness about the assets of the husband. How much does he earn? Where does he work? What does he do? Where has he invested? Does he have assets in UAE, in India? Where else? Try to gather whatever you can. It all depends on the dynamics of the relationship between the two.
Yeah.
It depends on how open is the communication
But
between
definitely
them.
the relationship is not going to get better after you ask for divorce. So if you have to find out this information, find it out before.
Yes, discreetly, however discreet that you can.
Yeah.
And
Can you ask the like, is that a thing? Like, can I go to the bank and say that, like, hey, listen, until now I've not accessed our bank statements, but I would like to know how much my husband is bringing to the table. Like,
you mean like a joint bank account?
Joint bank account?
Then you can. If it is only husband's account, you can't.
You cannot.
You can.
Salary details as well. There is no way that a lawyer can go to the organization and say, hey, I want to find out how much this person is earning because of the legal
Good question. But this is something that we can ask the court to ask the employer to give us details, but this happens in the later part of the entire proceeding. So that is when we are going for divorce. We have the right as lawyers to request the court to ask for the employer to give us their salary certificates.
Great. So we've said now you need to get your marriage certificate, your original. Number two, you need to find out where your assets are, what your husband's salary is, how much he's making, what these various assets are. What about debt? How do you, like, that's
Yes,
an
again,
important
the
one.
liabilities, because at the end of the day, by the way, in terms of his personal debt, you're not liable for as a wife. When it comes to divorce or when it comes to death. It's only and only, yes, of course, in terms of death, if the husband has certain assets before it is transferred to the beneficiary, okay, in the form of an estate, his liabilities will initially be paid off.
So recap. Number one was marriage registration documents. Number two is assets that your husband might have or that you might have as a couple, income, salary statements, vagera, vagera. And the third thing is about debt.
Yes.
So help me understand this. If I'm going to divorce somebody and they have 50,000 dirhams due on their credit card, how does it impact?
Who are you in the credit card relationship with the bank? You must be a supplementary card holder, I'm assuming. So it is the primary card holder's responsibility. If he has a debt, he has to pay for it. You don't have to pay.
Okay. If my partner passes away and they have like a loan, let's say, or they've taken a loan to buy a house, how does that work? Like, do I get, or let's say there's a big payout of, like, say, an insurance amount or something like that. How does that work? Like, how does the woman?
Okay, so in terms of a property, a real estate asset which is mortgaged, it is never your asset. It is the bank's asset until the EMIs are paid.
Okay.
So technically, your husband never owned the house, so you never get it.
Okay.
It is owned by the bank. Okay. The fact that it did not get paid off in the form of loans, it's actually the bank's asset. However, there is an insurance policy which is always linked to the mortgage loan that you take.
Correct. I remember.
So technically that pays off to the bank.
So that the
house stays
comes
with
to
you. Yes.
Okay.
But
and
theoretically,
still pay the EMIs?
No, you don't, because the entire amount has been paid off. Of course, it all depends on the type of insurance policy taken. So that will be a different subject that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah.
But as far as the legality is concerned, it'll be dependent on these two situations. How much of the amount has been paid, what is the life insurance cover taken, and then you get to keep the house.
So how does it work when a couple has debt together? So let's say you know, out of your joint account or whatever, you've taken some kind of loan, and then you're deciding to get a divorce.
Right.
So does one person have to pay the outstanding amounts on the loan, or is it just split equally? How do those things
Good
work?
question, because again, this will be taking care of the previous question you asked, because there are times that they are joint properties. If it is a joint asset taken and you have been a personal guarantor in that transaction, then you are liable to pay, or you've agreed to pay on behalf of the husband, because it's like a primary and a secondary applicant that we are on the loan that you take or on the property that you buy. So if that is the case, you're involved in the paperwork, then yes, you're equally liable to pay, because you're already a joint owner.
Right. Understood. A lot of times what happens is, let's say your partner has decided to get into some kind of business, has taken some kind of risks, there's debt to this person's name, and at that point you're deciding to get a divorce. Does that impact like, will you have to pay any of that debt? Or can you, as a partner in the marriage, kind of say, sorry, this was not my decision?
So here, partner in the marriage is not important. Are you a partner in the business? Okay, if the answer to that is yes, on paper, if you are the partner in the business, then you're liable to pay. But if you're not, then you have nothing to do.
So be careful what paperwork you sign.
Be careful of what business your husband is doing, because there are many times husbands have businesses running on the wife's name.
Yes, that happens so often here.
Yes,
right?
yes. So that's where it's all about awareness, all about not having this blind trust on your life partner that whatever he is doing, is not saying consciously, not in your benefit or in your interest. But there are times that unknowingly there are things being done under your name which you're not aware of and which might affect you.
Correct.
So it's all about
That's
awareness,
true.
being
and
known.
both of you might have very different approaches to risk, right?
Correct.
He might feel that he wants to risk it with this.
Absolutely.
And you might feel that that is not a risk that you want to take. In which case, why is but you're also sort of signing on that paperwork that makes you a part of that risk.
So just don't blindly sign on somebody. Just be aware. Be aware of the risk when you are involved, even when you're not involved. Again, the awareness degree will depend upon the relationship, upon the person that you are, depending on what kind of business, how involved are you. Okay. All of those parameters will be looked at.
Question also about visa. A lot of people who want to maybe get a divorce are like, but I'm on my husband's dependent visa. Do you have to pay for your own visa? Suppose you're not earning at all. Now you've got to pay for a lawyer. You've got to pay for your own visa. You've got to pay for your life. Like, this is a lot to suddenly take on, right?
So luckily in the UAE, we have this environment that they actually create the laws and keep on changing the laws, and they're very fluid because they keep evolving the laws, keeping in mind the fact that we are from different communities, different ethnicities. So they've actually come up with a lot of better solutions to problems like these. So to answer that question, you have a 1-year extension on a visa if the woman gets divorced or widowed. So the government is taking care of it. Of course, after that, you have to ensure that you find a way to get yourself a visa, be it in the form of a business that you have formed or in the form of a golden visa that you would like to apply. So that particular extension of time is given. Also, of course, if you are mutually going ahead with the divorce, then between the husband and the wife, after they get divorced, they can decide if the visa is valid to keep the visa alive. It's fine. You don't have to go and cancel it just because the divorce has happened. If there is validity, both of them can continue to utilize that visa.
I have a question about this because I know a lot of women out earning partners, perhaps. Is there an ulta alimony? By which I mean, is there ever a situation where women pay out to partners in any way? Like, does that even exist in the UAE?
Not in the UAE, for sure.
Okay.
I mean, not that it has come across even in terms of my experience.
Yeah.
And neither does. The law is pretty much one-sided when it comes to divorces, husband and wife.
Yeah.
They don't really address the other side.
Okay. So I want to hear from you just a story or two to end our episode. Stuff that really made you sit up and think, my God, if I could put this story up on a billboard, I would save so many women so much of time, money, energy, life, breath.
So I have many, but it's like, whatever is the latest that comes to my mind. A couple of issues that I have faced in terms of thought-provoking that I have felt. So I had a client who was in the marriage for 10 years, no kids. And she said, best partner, we've had such an amazing time. We've been like this ideal couple. We've gone out, traveled, etc., etc. But it's been a very dry life in terms of our sexual relationship. And I was okay with it. I was fine with it. I did bring it up once or twice, but I got answers which were like, it's okay, it's fine, it's not a big deal. And then when she came to me, she was again, he's asked for the divorce. I'm the one who's feeling uncomfortable because I'm so dependent on him, because he's so loving and caring otherwise. So she was actually broken. I actually had to shake her up to tell her, listen, you're the biggest example of somebody manipulating you, because you are not even realizing that you let go of such an important aspect of your life because you were under the pretext that you are being loved, whereas you were not okay with it. The time she realized at that time they was both still living together, and he dropped her to come to my office. She immediately said, I'm packing up my bags. And I said, no, you're not packing up your bags. Ask him to pack his bags and leave the house. So it literally happened that way, where that the wife is not even realizing that she's being manipulated, because the way that you are investing yourself in the marriage, be it emotionally, and she was the one paying for finances as well, because he had a lot of loans. She's the one taking care of his family. She's the one who has spent money on building a house back home in India, and she's worrying, oh my god, my nieces, nephews, I love them so much. And so it's very nice being a woman. That's what we are all about. But unfortunately, she didn't realize how she had actually wasted 10 years of her life, not realizing what she was losing out on, because it hit her hard. That's when she came to the decision.
Yeah.
So
you told me this story on the call that really stayed with me, about a woman who had been in a marriage for so many years, and she just said at the end of it all, he wasn't there to hold my hand.
Yes.
And I think so often I hear this, right? And I think especially with women who are, say, career driven, who are able to hold their own financially, you ask, really, what's it all about if you can't be there to hold my hand? Is that something that you see more and more often in divorce cases?
So it's a very, very common reason as to why women end up taking the divorce, because they've been emotionally hurt over a period of time. And then women have a certain threshold for pain.
Yeah.
So you have been there, done it once, twice, thrice, but it's become like a pattern.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't react to it, you're actually encouraging the husband as well, because you are communicating to them indirectly that you're okay with it.
Yeah.
So my advice to them is that once you have taken the decision, and you've communicated it to your peers, be it your family, the first thing that they're going to ask you is, everything is okay. He's paying for the children. He has a good job. He's paying for everything. We visibly see no issues. And then you have explained it to your parents to say that, no, listen, but I am not happy. I don't have the emotional dependency on him. He is not there to support me in whatever I am doing, which I want. I want that as a life partner. Whereas he wants me as a maid of the house because he has dependency on me to take care of the children. That's when I tell them, you need to tell your parents that you were the adults when you took the decision on behalf of me to get me married. Let's assume it's an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
You took the decision on behalf of me. Now I'm adult enough. I'm grown enough because I have children of my own. I have made my decision. The least you can do is back my decision, support my decision. And I tell the women, stop explaining, because the more you explain, the retaliation will be further. from anybody that you're explaining to. But I ensure that before I have the discussion, that the decision is hardcore. They have actually well thought. I always talk about counseling. Even when they come to me, have you taken up the proposition of counseling? Because you never know that a man is not even aware that he is going wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't communicate it in the right way. You need a bird's eye view. You need a third person to shake him up. So I always say that the fact that you've taken up the decision, be thorough, do your homework in terms of your internalizing why you're taking it. Be sure of it.
Yeah.
And then when you are communicating it to the others, that just don't explain yourself, because it is entirely your decision. It is your pain. You have gone through the pain. Yeah. So nobody else needs to be convinced that you are feeling
going
the pain.
through pain.
Yeah.
You don't need anything.
Exactly. And then somebody's asking you why the pain. Like, it's actually so absurd.
Pain, right?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I think I want to end the episode with a few very, very important takeaways that I've had. I think number one is that know, for example, your banking passwords.
Yes.
Know your statement.
Your own passwords.
Your own passwords
for sure.
and his passwords, because very often women don't even know.
No, maybe his passwords is subjective, that you don't know,
when I
but
say
be aware.
Like together,
yeah, because many a times,
have any?
I would like to say this on the mic, but yeah, my husband has control over my bank account. He has my username and passwords.
Yeah.
Again, it depends on the relationship that you are. But yes, there are many times women don't know at all about their own banking details.
Yeah. Or they don't even know what is the code of the safe in which the papers are kept. Or they don't even know where the papers are. Where is this marriage certificate?
Yes.
Where in the house is it kept?
Correct.
So I think sometimes it's as basic as just that.
Yes.
And I think also it's so important what you said about negotiating. I think it is a huge wake-up call to me that you speak to hundreds of women every year and not one of them has negotiated for more in a homemaker relationship with their partners, right? So thank you so much, Preeti, for all that you've brought to the table. And I do hope that this is a useful episode. I'm sure it's going to be. It's the episode I wish I had seen many
One
years
last
ago.
thing that I would like to
Sure,
say,
sure.
it's not that I'm advocating divorce, but I always say that when women are unhappy, and especially when they stay in the marriage for the kids, when they feel that no, what will my child feel, he shouldn't come from a broken marriage. I always say nobody ever dies of a divorce. You don't die of it. Rather, it is actually the children who learn the wrong things about marriage when they see a loveless mother and father.
I couldn't agree more.
So I would say that it's very, very important that go for it if you feel that it is the right thing. Follow your heart. This is
And sometimes a broken home, it can be broken while you're still
Absolutely.
together.
Absolutely.
And it can be very full
Yes.
when you all are apart. So I think that kind of narrow focus of what a broken home means it's a big wake up call for us.
Yes.
And thank you. Thank you for that. You don't die of a divorce.
Yeah.
And there are many women to prove that to be true. Priti Dugar is available on LinkedIn. You can look her up. She's the one you need to call if you need to have an honest conversation about your marriage and where it's going, and about things like wills and legacies and prenups, which
Yes.
I'll be calling you for. Sara Advocates, that's how you can find her. Thank you, Preeti. It's been
Thank
an
you,
absolute
Malvika, for having me. It's been a pleasure. And I didn't even realize how the conversation just flew by. So it was amazing. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank
you for making me feel comfortable as well. Thank you.
More Bang for Her Buck is a show that's produced by Brown on the Outside. Do like, share, subscribe, comment, send this to a friend, send this to all your women friends. Keep this conversation going because I believe in every cell of my being that this is the most important work that I will do today.